I guess I wanted to start off by asking, at what point in your life would you say you felt most creative as a musician?
At what point in my life?
Or is there a moment you can kind of locate where you felt a real surge of creativity?
Sort of like where writing I want to be a musician started then, rather than at what period of my life was I most creative?
No, probably the latter. What period in your life have you felt most creative?
Yeah. For me, a big one is probably recently during lockdown. Sort of moved into this flat just before lockdown, got like some pretty crappy recording gear in, and yeah, made a lot of songs during that, and sort of focused a lot more on structure and putting songs together. So lockdown for me is probably my biggest one.
I was probably going to say the same thing, to be honest. It's when I was supposed to be like studying for the end of the year exams and stuff. I was playing my guitar all the time. Went pretty well. Like, that's when we wrote like the new tune that's coming out, and quite a lot of other stuff that we've got lined up as well.
Yeah.
So
Aye,
definitely started this year.
Yeah.
Like start of lockdown especially, but even since then I think during summer's been pretty good as well for it.
Yeah.
So.
Once we sort of had like the final lineup of the band sort of finalised as well, and got a bit of momentum after the first tune came out. That's been big for us, I think.
Yeah.
As a band, anyway.
Yeah, it's been difficult to do it like as a band though, because getting in the studio's obviously not happened for like months, but just like being able to send it to each other.
It's like finding a sort of formula that works as well of making or bringing a tune together as a band. Because in the first couple of months there's a lot of like we just come in with a tune and see what happened, but I think we're starting to work out more how to do that. Yeah.
I mean, with the new single as well, 12-month seasonal depression.
Yeah.
do you feel seasons actually have an impact upon creativity? Do you feel differently creatively in the summer compared to the winter?
Oh, that's a good question.
I'd say yeah for me anyway. I feel like that whole like saying come towards the end of uni and building up to summer definitely helped a lot with like you kind of want to write a summery sounding tune and
Yeah,
stuff.
with the riff
or,
that
like,
affects you.
Yeah, I'd say so definitely. And then maybe when you're getting towards this end of the year, this part of the year, I mean, it's getting a bit sort of, you might change it up a bit, get a bit darker sounding. Or,
I think. Yeah. Right. So Nathan like wrote the music for this, and then I wrote the lyrics. So I don't know. It's quite funny because the riff's like summery, obviously, and then I don't know. The lyrics are kind of meant to say, I don't know, seasons aren't really impacting me. You know, it's a 12-month seasonal depression. So I don't know. They probably do, but it's more subconscious for me. I don't think I'm more like. I don't think I'm likely to write a summery riff if it's summer or like mine. Yeah, sort of random.
So when you heard the instrumentation, what emotion kind of stood out to you most from it?
Yeah,
Kind of
like
the writing?
I don't know, the writing the lyrics changes quite a lot. I think for this one, I think I had that sort of phrase written down as a bit. I probably listened to a lot of a band called Feet at the time. Quite like ironic lyrics. So I think I sort of had a phrase like that written down and built it around that. And I think this is more of an accident, to be fair. But like the fact it's quite a summery song and I suppose quite a depressing like lyrical hook is quite suits the irony of it, I suppose.
It's a nice bit of juxtaposition.
Yeah. I think that happened accidentally, to be fair, before I get called pretentious.
especially during all this that's going on.
Yeah.
Is it quite instinctual then, writing atop it, as opposed to being a conscious kind of thought, or
Is what extinction?
is it quite like writing atop? Was that quite an instinctual thing as opposed to being a conscious thought, or?
Yeah, I think this one was.
Yeah, I wasn't really thinking about it at all when I wrote the song.
Yeah.
It just sort of came out. Wrote it really quickly as well, like probably
Yeah.
within an hour. Like I feel like whenever I write a tune that feels good, it probably happens really quickly
Yeah.
instead of spending loads of time on it.
Yeah, the lyrics came quite quickly as well. I just sort of had that phrase and then the rest of the verses came together pretty quickly. So yeah, I'd say I didn't put too much thought into that one really.
Yeah. Is it easier to be honest, I think, when you've been instinctual?
Yeah, I suppose depends what the song's about maybe. It's funny that Fraud was like that as well. Our first tune was the exact same. Like I think I must have written it in under an hour. It was just because it's just so basic, the music and stuff as well. But and then there are other songs that we might have coming out at some point that I've definitely messed around with a lot longer. But yeah, I suppose quite often it is that the best ones are the ones that just
Yeah,
yeah.
not always, but definitely happened with these ones. I think that they were sort of written and didn't really need to change much about them once they were.
I don't think it would like the honesty part of it would affect me that much though. I think I don't think if I did it quickly or did it over a longer period of time, the honesty would be that different. You know, I think it'd be quite similar.
How did recording the single at home then affect your creative space and working on it? Because you kind of recorded it
Yeah.
You?
Yeah, it was all done on Zoom and
Yeah. I don't know. It's funny. Like, I suppose for like music like ours, which isn't overly complex, like 2 guitars, bass, vocal, drums, it's like sort of it opened our eyes to how it can be done because it sounds kind of how I'd want it to sound anyway. I think
Yeah.
that maybe like the vocal, like being in a booth and stuff like that might help you a bit. But I don't know.
yeah,
It was
because you're using like a pair of tights, is that?
the biggest thing that was surprising to me was how
Vocal.
how good. Yeah, it was like a pair of tights, was like a pop filter. I was just surprised how good the drums could sound.
Yeah,
doing,
the guitars and stuff came out fine.
the guitars,
It was
like
just going straight in. It was
the way
like,
we recorded the guitars on our first song, were like through the same amp as we ended up recording them on the second one. It's just like a digital amp called a Kemper. So it was like, I knew that was going to be fine, but the drums just sounded so lifelike. But I don't know, creatively, did you change anything? What you were playing live, or?
I think well, I did in the backing vocals and stuff like during when we were recording it,
Of
which
course,
I didn't have beforehand. So
I think
I don't know why, but
the biggest one for me was like I'd done the pre-chorus, like the vocal for the pre-chorus, in a few different ways, and then like I was on holiday up the West Coast, and I was like, oh, I think I'd prefer it in this tone, and I could just record it and send it rather than just having the one that you'd already done. So I think that's probably a good part of doing it at home. It can be chopped and changed a bit more rather than when, and you're just always thinking about it because you can always edit it. So yeah, I just remembered that now actually.
I mean, it was pretty easy as well, but it's definitely different from being in the studio. Being in the studio is so much fun and stuff.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's good fun, isn't it?
Is there anything you learned from working at home that you'll then carry on when you next go back in the studio?
I think like just like if we go in with Chris again, which I'm sure we will, it'll just be less of, he'll have to explain less at the start. I think it could be like, and we've got songs that the next one we're going to record, we've already got a guide for it, so we can probably just go in with the guide. Yeah, and
demos are just easier to do now as well because we've had quite a bit of experience doing them.
Yeah, so we can just go in and get everything recorded, and it'll just be more efficient. We'll be able to spend more time on him, sort of helping with production and maybe like focusing more on the writing and stuff rather than sort of squeezing it into a day. But yeah, probably just more knowledgeable about recording. Yeah,
I guess it could help you kind of keep a hold of the intimacy a little bit more as well.
Oh, keep hold of what, sorry?
Like the intimacy of it.
Yeah,
it did feel kind of bit strange, like when you're not doing it as a band as well. I mean, even like we barely even played the new song that's coming out together much at all. We had one gig at Priory and we played Club Sabbath and played it once and we thought it went down well, but that's the only time I've ever played it live and then as a band, so and then you're recording it and it's coming out as a single and it's only been heard once by people, so it's
probably a lot easier to bounce ideas as a group in a studio.
Yeah.
It was sort of like that backing vocal you came up with, like the octave change I did was just like something we were obviously thinking about by ourselves. So yeah, I don't know, maybe more ideas come out of a studio setting.
Do you get ideas, like you were saying, you'd only played it live once, do you get ideas for songs when you are playing them live and playing them to a crowd? Does it kind of affect your understanding of them in any way?
I've not really noticed it, to be honest, doing it live because
it's just crazy that we're bringing out our second single and how little gigs we've played.
We had 2 gigs or something.
Yeah, played one up in Inverness.
I forgot about
so
that.
like 2.5 gigs. No. Like I just nothing that consciously. I think I just think maybe put a bit more liveliness into the vocal or of certain parts.
You realise if you sort of need to make it flow a bit better and stuff as well with how the set flows. But
and I think sort of Priory was like the first gig where people were like, where it felt like a crowd were there to see you really and enjoying what you were doing. Like the first, I think everyone's gigs are like that. The first few you do are like pretty much like friends, 50% of which aren't that fussed about music.
Don't know what to expect.
They're just being nice, but I think that'll come more as we play more gigs, if and when
that happens.
What have you learned most from playing live so far? Those gigs that you've done.
I don't know, man.
Probably learned what songs kind of went down well and what ones didn't, but that's pretty
obvious
it's going to happen.
I just think sort of, the songs are going to take different shapes depending on where you play them, I suppose, as well. Like I think I was quite stubborn at the start about so if I sang a vocal a certain way on our debut single, that I'd have to do it like that live. But maybe it sounds better doing something a bit different live, or making things go on a bit longer, slower. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't say I need to do more live shows to learn more from them.
No, it's the fact we've not done many at all. It's just difficult to
just like that. Just stupid things as well. Like like where I put the set list and all that as well, and like shit like that, man. I'm like, I honestly feel like such a baby on stage. Like, you always put your cable through your guitar thing.
He was reading the other band's set list when I played it. He was like, I didn't know we had that song.
drinking all day, and I was like, and I introduced the wrong song, and Nathan was like, no, and I looked down at the set list, and I was like, Lucy, we don't have a song called Lucy, what the fuck, and then, yeah. But
that's probably mostly their drink to blame, though.
I don't know. I just need to be a bit more efficient on stage, man, because it goes so quickly. It goes by in like 5 minutes.
Exactly.
And like you feel like you've barely enjoyed it. So I'm sure that'll come with time. But
yeah, it's quite hard to take in, especially because we've played loads of gigs before, but prior was jumping when we played a gig.
Yeah.
That's actually been busy, and you can tell people are pure
we
loving
were
it.
we played in like a band before.
Yeah. But it was never like that.
Yeah, there was never like people jumping around and stuff. But yeah. I'm sure we'll take them in more as we go.
Once we play more, we'll get a bit more used to that. If the people do keep going,
yeah.
just saying that as if they will definitely be there.
I know, the next one will be dead.
You said when you played that show, it went by in like 5 minutes. Like it went by really quick.
Yeah.
When you're writing songs, how does that kind of affect your perception of time? Is it a similar thing?
Yeah, like I wrote a song last night, and it goes pretty like. You know, like I said, that first tune I wrote, Fraud, was under an hour. It probably just felt like under an hour. It's probably a lot longer than that. But yeah, you just don't notice time at all. I suppose like when you're on stage, you're constantly thinking like, oh, like was this too short? Was that too long? And you're thinking about what's next and things. But I think the songwriting process is quite like a removed experience.
Yeah,
I don't really notice anything.
If I was writing just something on guitar, I wouldn't really notice the time at all.
Yeah.
Unless I'm getting stuck in it, I just won't even bother trying to like slog through writing something though, because it just doesn't work. Just put the guitar down and pick up later or something. But
yeah, time's
I've not really felt that much with that since we've been writing tunes though. They've been going pretty well, I'd say, like especially over lockdown.
Yeah, I suppose it's good mixing the musical part of it, because like sometimes if I've just don't want to pick up guitar, I don't really have to feel pressure to, because you'll send something through and I can just write some words to it.
Yeah, probably won't even be whole tunes or anything either. Just like
riffs.
A rhythm and a bit of lead or something, a riff.
But yeah, time just sort of drifts by without noticing it when you're writing something, I find anyway.
When you're writing as a group, do you think it's easier to be honest with yourself or easier to be honest with other people in the group?
I don't know, I think we find both quite easy.
Yeah, do you mean like whether they think something's shit or not? Yeah, I think none of us are like pure precious about.
Yeah, just kind of want the best songs.
Whatever, so we will just tell each other and sort of take it on the chin.
The problem,
not great.
problem lately has just been because so many songs have come out. Like we've made so many during COVID, and like usually you'd maybe write two, and then you can go into the studio and work with them. But we've got like, I got like 8 or 9 that I really want to work on.
Big backlog.
So it's just been able to just having to choose them has just been going to be the only sort of pain, I think. Because I think it happens quite naturally when we sort of dismiss songs, because like we don't even talk about it that much. It's just that song just sort of isn't in the set. I don't know. I think maybe if we feel really differently about one, we'll be able to answer that question better. But we've sort of had quite a mutual.
So far it's been alright.
Yeah, it's never really been like a big sort of disagreement about, like, you've never loved one and I've hated one. No. Really. Yeah.
You can sort of tell usually when we're both liking it, and then the other two boys are the same as well. But everyone's just throwing ideas about, and if it's good, we'll do it. If it's not, we just won't.
If that doesn't really, or like, if that, you're saying that you kind of agree on everything, you're always kind of on the same page. Is there anything that does cause a disagreement in the band at any point then?
Nah, nothing major. Like there's never like the other day I was like, oh, we should have one that doesn't start with a riff and just straight in or something like that. But there's never. Yeah, don't know. We've never had a fight, have we?
Not yet.
I know, man. Maybe that comes later. But nah, there's not really like. Our drummer just quite like, as you'll see when we send you our like the songs that's inspired it. He basically just likes hitting stuff. Like he's not put much thought. He's literally chosen 3 songs and not told me anything about them.
It's a caveman.
Yeah.
Stuff.
Craig, our bassist, the just most laid back guy ever. Yeah. One of the songs like we've been pissing around with actually is like he wrote it on the guitar. So that's sort of a new way of our writing, because that's usually me or you do the guitar.
He's usually a guitarist, but he's just taking
playing
the bass to play with us.
What was the question? Sorry, I drifted off there.
Does anything cause a disagreement?
Oh, right.
It seems to be
not yet, man.
No, I don't think anything has. I mean,
maybe third single when we do another interview, we might have had a fallout or something.
Maybe we're still in the early stages, not got to that stage yet of the relationship.
to round this up then, to kind of finish off, I thought in honour of the band's name, what's your go-to dish when you got the chippy?
Oh shit! Like this is gonna make
Definitely
us
not a pizza.
this is gonna make us look like frauds now because I wouldn't even think about getting a pizza crunch.
Don't know if I've ever even had one.
Yeah, I've had one before and it was absolutely ghastly. I would just get a fish supper, man.
Fish and chips,
Fish supper,
or sausage
mashy
and
peas.
chips or something.
Mashy peas, but
Don't know about that.
yeah.
Hold the peas.
Nah. Pizza crunches are rancid.
On that note,
Yeah.
thank you very much, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks
Thanks a
very
lot.
much.